In the grim dark of the far future, there is only war. Throughout history, we have seen untold horrors and misery inflicted on humanity by the forces of chaos and their associated ruinous powers. With trillions upon trillions of lives across countless worlds being decimated, enslaved, or corrupted by the evil forces of chaos, humanity fights a constant pitched battle against the dark tide of corruption that seeks to sweep across the galaxy, especially in the current setting with the opening of the Great Rift. But there are those who would stand against the darkness of the walk, including Rogal Dorn, the Vigilant. Greetings all, I am your guide, the Archivist. Today I will dive into an overview of Rogal Dorn, his rise in power, and his final fate. Before we begin, please make sure to like and subscribe waypoints down below, so that more people can learn from the archives. Who was Rogal Dorn? Rogal Dorn, also known as the Vigilant, the Praetorian of Terror, and the Unyielding One, and referred to by his gene sons as Defiance, was the Primarch of the Imperial Fist Space Marine Legion and a revered figure in the history of the Imperium of Man. Many described Rogal Dorn as being a thunderous zeal. Many described Rogal Dorn as of being of thunderous zeal and stone-made manifest, with his stern, unsmiling face and unruly shock of short, bone-white hair. His unwavering dedication to his father's dream for the Imperium earned him the nickname Defiance, reflecting his unyielding nature in pursuit of the Emperor's cause. Rogal Dorn believed that the primary purpose of the Legiones Astartes was the unification of mankind and the realization of the Imperium's ideals. This steadfast idealism propelled Dorn and his legion forward, never wavering in their duty, whether in defense or in relentless attack. If the Primarchs were seen as manifestations of the Emperor's nature, then Rogal Dorn epitomized the Emperor's unwavering discipline, embodying loyalty and duty as essential as blood and breath. Even before the betrayal of Horus, the Emperor recognized Dorn's commitment by naming him the Praetorian of Terror, positioning him by his side. While some of his brother Primarchs felt distanced by this, those who recognized Dorn's unyielding nature as a source of strength also saw him as a bulwark against discord and disquiet within the Imperium. Origins. When the 20 genetically engineered nascent Primarchs were taken from the Emperor's labs on Terra by the ruinous powers and cast into the warp, they were scattered across the galaxy onto different worlds. Each world played a significant role in shaping the nature and personality of each Primarch, and ultimately the individual legions created from their genome. After being restored to the Imperium, Primarch Rogal Dorn was placed on the ice world of Inwit in the Inwit cluster. Inwit has always been a world of death and cold. Its star, old and withered, bleeds the last of its heat as cold red light. Tidally locked against its dying star, perpetual darkness engulfs one side of the planet, while fading sunlight bathes the other. The planet's dark side is covered by crevassed mazes, frozen mountain ranges, and plains of froze dunes, known as the Splintered Land. This harsh environment shapes the bodies and beliefs of the human population struggling to survive here. Beneath the ice crust, thick sea flows in sluggish tides, inhabited by pale, sightless creatures hunting by vibration, and a preternatural taste for blood. High above this desolation, ancient space stations and orbital shipyards observe the cold-shrouded worlds through perpetual auroras. These citadels of the void have overlooked Inwit since time immemorial. On the planet's light side, there is little comfort to be found. It is a land of drift-crusted saline seas and sparse bare rock under the unwavering gaze of the red sun. Inwit holds little value. Its seas are either buried or lifeless, its mountains devoid of riches, and its native species fiercely vicious. However, there is one thing that this harsh world offers, which allowed it to conquer a star cluster and endure as an island empire of order in the age of strife: its people. Although they are considered barbaric, they are far from unsophisticated. The fighters of Inwit are raised in an environment where endurance and survival are paramount. The harsh conditions of their world, where any sign of weakness can lead to death, mould them into strong and relentless individuals. On Inuit, death can come in various forms, such as being engulfed by ice storms, falling prey to the dangerous creatures in the splintered lands, or simply letting one's guard down and succumbing to the unforgiving cold. These challenging circumstances shape the people of Inuit into a resilient, serious, and community-focused population. Most of them lead nomadic lives, traversing between underground ice settlements to engage in trade involving weapons, fuel, and technology. Interactions among the roaming clans often result in conflicts, and the young warriors are taught to defend against their clan's adversaries from a young age, as they learn to withstand Inuit's deadly climate. They possess a remarkable ability to quickly learn new skills and have an inherent understanding of the practical value of objects. Additionally, they possess the strength and intelligence needed to overpower those who possess knowledge they lack. Centuries ago, long before the emergence of the Emperor was even envisioned on Terra, the inhabitants of Inuit began to establish their own dominion amongst the stars. They assimilated, modified, and strengthened their influence with each conquest. Despite their expansion into a stellar empire, Inuit itself remained largely unchanged. The ice settlements and clan conflicts persisted, with the rulers adhering to the traditional ways that they had endowed them with strength, even as they governed vast interstellar territories. Rogal Dorn, who rose to become the ruler of the Inuit cluster and the head of the House of Dorn, or the Ice Castle, grew up in this burgeoning empire. Much of his early life is shrouded in mystery, but what is certain is that a boy named Rogal, embraced by his adoptive kin amidst Inuit's cold and darkness, eventually ascended to the position of leadership within the Inuit cluster. 40 years after his grandfather's passing, the outlying Imperial starships of the Great Crusade finally reached the Ice Hives of Inuit, in 1835 M30. When the true Emperor was reunited with Rogal Dorn, he regained not only a lost son, but the strength of a star-spanning human society already forged in the tool of war. Dorn warmly welcomed the Emperor aboard the colossal starship, the Phalanx, a relic from the age of technology that had been discovered abandoned within Inuit's region of space. At this time, Dorn was the 7th of 20 Primarchs who had been found by their father in the course of the Crusade. The Emperor embraced Dorn as his long-lost son and entrusted the Phalanx to his care, transforming it into a mobile fortress monastery of the 7th Space Marine Legion. This legion, created using Dorn's own genetic template, was also placed under Dorn's leadership. From the very first moment they met, Dorn's loyalty to the Emperor was unwavering, and he never sought any favour from his father. Dorn exemplified the human pursuit of truth and honesty, and his unwavering integrity led to the statue standing as one of the only 4 ever erected at Macragge, alongside that of Rabute Gilliman, Primarch of the Ultramarines. Dorn led the 7th Legion and its expeditionary fleets with unparalleled devotion and military genius. He was widely acknowledged to possess one of the finest military minds among the Primarchs, characterized by order and discipline yet punctuated by flashes of zeal and inspiration. During the Great Crusade, Dorn's accomplishments for the Imperium were countless. The War Master Horus esteemed Dorn and the Imperial Fists so highly that he believed if the Imperial Fists, known as Masters of Defense, were to hold a fortress against his lunar walls, famous for their assault prowess, the resulting conflict would spiral into a never-ending stalemate. His appearance. Many describe the Primarch of the 7th Legion as being a thunderous zeal and stone-made manifest. He possessed a stern, unsmiling countenance and a wild shock of bone-white hair. His passion burned like the fire of a son dedicated to his father's dream for the Imperium without reservation or doubt. Dressed in burnished copper and gold armour, Dorn also sported a striking red velvet cloak, adorned with the unfurled eagle wing motif. The motif was prominently featured on various parts of his gear, particularly at the decorative section of his armour that rose above his shoulders. His countenance was stoic, with a naturally unsmiling expression, complemented by his hair. Powers and gear. Malcador depicted his power to him as the master of the material realm, asserting that nothing in the world was beyond his reach. In essence, he's akin to a supernatural polymath who can conquer anything he sets his sights on. He shares similarities with Perturabo, who possesses an immediate instinctual grasp of everything, yet his emotional immaturity hinders his true comprehension and creative application of knowledge. Dorn begins at a lower level but possesses a higher potential. He lacks the special instinctual knowledge beyond that of any other Primarch. However, his unparalleled ability to learn and grow stems from his comparatively malleable ego in comparison to the others. During a series of wargames, Dorn emerged victorious due to his innovative and evolving approach, learning more with each match and intelligently countering Perturabo's predictable, flawless maneuvers. Perturabo struggled to innovate as he already felt he knew everything and found it challenging to accept advice from others, deeming all but the Emperor beneath him. In a manner akin to how Fulgrim's perfection as a sculptor made him inept, as it was the imperfections that bestowed soul upon sculptures. When someone conveyed this to him, he callously murdered the individual out of spite. Rogal Dorn's formidable battle attire was a sight to behold. Clad in Baroque power armour adorned with burnished copper and gold, he also sported a striking red velvet cloak. The unmistakable winged motif of the eagle featured prominently on his war gear, especially on the decorative sections of his armour that rose above his shoulders. Crafted from the same auric adamantium alloy as the Emperor's personal combat armour, this ensemble exuded power and authority. Among his arsenal, the Storm's teeth stood out as a colossal chainsword of immense weight, rumoured to have been crafted by the weapon masters of Inwit before the Emperor's era. Its razor-sharp teeth could effortlessly tear through metal, stone and flesh. While the Primarch had access to many formidable weapons, it was the unwavering loyalty and power of Storm's teeth that earned it his favour. The ceremonial bolter known as the Voice of Terror was a gift from the Legio Custodes, symbolising Rogal Dorn's appointment as the Praetorian of Terror. Modelled after the Legio Custodes weaponry, this tactical bolt was meticulously redesigned to be wielded by the Primarch, bearing the honour and strength of its bestowal. A teleport homer, an ancient Imperial device, was employed by the Adeptus Astartes, the Inquisition, and the Chaos Space Marines for warp teleportation. This technology allowed Terminator armour users to achieve precise and effective teleportation from an orbiting starship to a specific planetary location through the Immaterium, using a unique signal transmitted from the device. The frag grenade, a common interpersonal weapon utilised by the Imperial Man's military forces, produced a devastating blast of shrapnel capable of dismantling unarmoured troops, compelling enemies to seek cover and relinquishing their tactical advantage. Facing numerous assassination attempts during the Horus Heresy, Rogal Dorn was presented with the Atos Dios, a heavily customised personal Thunderhawk gunship, by Magos Telluria. This unique aircraft, outfitted with a turbo laser and a Titan-grade void shield, served as both transport and protective cover for the Primarch during critical missions relating to the defence of Terra. His deeds. Rogal Dorn possessed a fierce determination balanced by his controlled and an emotional demeanour. Whilst many saw him and his legion as stern and devoid of emotion, there was much more to him than met the eye. Though reserved, Dorn's anger was formidable, and he approached his goals with unwavering determination and calculated precision. Although he seldom displayed emotion, when he did, it was said to be incredibly impactful, capable of affecting the very earth and sky. During the critical resurgence of the Jahelican breed in the Adonis cluster, Dorn's controlled fury was believed to have been crucial in defending the battlements as the arms of soldiers. His reprimand of the reinforcements at Castoris was said to have been resounding from the sky and the sea. Described his brother Primarch as swift and unforgiving as the falling edge of an axe. Dorn was also known for brooding over matters beneath his unyielding facade. Whilst he was an unwavering warrior, he was also an idealist, fighting for reasons as crucial to him as the outcome of his battles. Few witnessed this aspect of Dorn during the Great Crusade, might have glimpsed it in his near-fatal encounter with Comrade Curse of the Night Lord's Legion and his brief conflict with Ferrus Manus of the Iron Hands Legion. It was only after the devastating events of the Horus Heresy, with so much irreparably lost and the Imperium marred in bloodshed, recognised a potential flaw even in unwavering loyalty. However, at the moment he was united with the Imperial Fists, the shadow of eternal betrayal still loomed in the distant future. During the Great Crusade, the Imperial Fist served as the Emperor's strategic reserve, able to swiftly redeploy to battlefields aboard phalanx. Known for their meticulous planning, they excelled at urban fights and experts in siege warfare. As the Emperor established a new capital on Terra, he appointed the Imperial Fists as his Praetorians and tasked Dorn with constructing the Imperial Palace. This move did not go unnoticed with the other Primarchs. Perturabo was furious upon learning that Dorn believed the Imperial Palace could withstand an assault even by the mighty siege masters, the Iron Warriors. He lashed out at his brother Primarch with unfounded accusations, leaving his own legion dumbstruck. Following this incident, the two Primarchs seldom communicated, and their legions did not serve together in subsequent campaigns. The Imperial Fists remained steadfast at the Emperor's side, whilst the Iron Warriors became part of Horus's vanguard. It is often said that similarity fosters understanding, but in the case of Rogal, Dorn and Perturabo, Primarch of the Iron Warriors, defies that notion. Despite their striking resemblance, they were divided by an insurmountable gulf. Both possessed a reserved nature, unwavering determination, and exceptional skill in warfare, traits that suggested that they should have been closer than the others. The fact that such closely matched kin could harbour intense animosity from their very first encounter seems almost unbelievable, yet it was an undeniable reality. The nascent Imperium achieved its greatest victory during the Great Crusade, with the defeat of the largest Orc empire encountered in the late 30th millennium. The Ulanor Crusade was a massive imperial assault on the Orc empire of the overlord Urlak Uruk, with the final assault by the Space Marine legions taking place on the capital world of the Greenskin Stellar Empire in the central Ulanor system of the galaxy's Ulanor sector. The crusade involved 100,000 Space Marines, 8 million Imperial Army troops, and thousands of Imperial starships and support personnel, marking the high point of the Great Crusade's ability to reunite humanity's scattered colony worlds. The Orcs of Ulanor represented the largest concentration of defeated greenskins by the Imperium of Man before the Third War of Armageddon during the late 41st millennium. Following their defeat, the Emperor of Mankind returned to Terra to initiate his vast project to open up the Eldar Webway for mankind's use and left Horus in command of the vast forces of the Great Crusade. The aftermath of the Ulanor Crusade saw Horus being granted the newly created title of War Master, making him the Commander-in-Chief with authority over all other Primarchs and even Expeditionary Fleet of the Great Crusade. When the Emperor returned to Terra to establish a capital world fit to govern 1 million planets, Dorn accompanied him as commanded to set up a guard around the Imperial homeworld. The Imperial Fists Legion was chosen as the Emperor's Praetorians, and Dorn, known for his skill in fortress construction, was assigned to design the defences of the Imperial Palace. These fortifications would withstand the test of time during the tumultuous years of the Horus Heresy. Fulgrim once inquired whether Rogal Dorn believed the Imperial Palace could withstand an assault by the Iron Warriors Legion. Dorn's candid affirmations so enraged the Iron Warriors Primarch Perturabo that they would later engage in a destructive battle during the Heresy. Subsequently, Dorn and the entire Imperial Fist Legion were called back to Terra by the Emperor to fortify the defences near the end of the Great Crusade. As the Horus Heresy loomed, this responsibility would evolve into preparing the defences of Terra and the Imperial Palace for the impending invasion of Horus and his traitor legions. The Heresy. Before the Imperial Fists could make their full arrival at Terra, they were overtaken by Horus Heresy events. Stranded for a significant amount of time due to severe warp storms, the Imperial Fists fleet eventually came across the badly damaged Loyalist Death Guard frigate, Eisenstein, where they learned of Horus's betrayal. Initially skeptical, Rogal Dorn was eventually convinced by members of Eisenstein's survivors of the Isfahan massacre that his brothers, including Horus, were staging a rebellion against the Emperor's rule. Dorn then dispatched the bulk of his legion to the Isfahan system on a war footing and returned to Terra with his veteran Space Marine companies to report the events personally to the Emperor of Mankind. The Alpha Legion, amidst the state of civil war in the Imperium, had the means and opportunities to transfer resources and personnel between sectors. The defence of the strategically vital Sol system had been entrusted to the Imperial Fists and their Primarch Rogal Dorn, the newly appointed Praetorian of Terra. Under the relentless efforts of the Imperial Fists, the Sol system had been turned into a fortress, organised into perfectly coordinated defence zones to repel Horus's eventual assault. The Alpha Legion aimed to infiltrate the most secure location in the entire galaxy, the Imperial Palace itself, to humiliate the Imperial Fists. They activated dormant assets hidden on Terra and succeeded in infiltrating several agents within the Imperial Palace, particularly targeting the Investiary, where statues of the Primarchs were erected. The statues of the Primarchs who had turned against the Emperor were covered up, and the Alpha Legion's target was to destroy them. Infiltrated legionaries managed to penetrate the Investiary and destroy all the statues except those of Alfarius and Rogal Dorn. As Horus advanced towards Terra, the War Master charged the Alpha Legion with critical acts of sabotage and preparation to throw the solar system into chaos. Despite fierce defense from the Imperial Fist Legion, led by Rogal Dorn, the Primarch Alfarius and his fleet aboard the flagship Alpha managed to infiltrate the outer defenses of the system by using stasis and reducing their heat signature. After a standard year of drifting undetected, the Alpha Legion fleet reached the outskirts of Terra's defenses. Simultaneously, Alpha Legion Sparatoi and their operative teams activated through the Sol system, causing panic and anarchy through acts of destruction and terrorism. While diversionary attacks distracted the Imperial defenders, the Alpha Legion's true target, Pluto, was struck by over 200 vessels led by the Alpha. This allowed for a further uprising across the Sol system. The primary objective was Hydra, a fortress moon orbiting Pluto. Alfarius led an assault on the moon, while the Loyalist defenders, led by First Captain Sigismund, faced brutal odds against the Alpha Legion fleet. Despite the overwhelming assault, the Imperial Fists resolutely stood their ground. During the conflict with the Alpha Legion, the primary target of the Imperial Fist was Hydra, a strategically important fortress moon orbiting Pluto. Alfarius led the Alpha Legion warriors in the attack, catching the Loyalist defenders by surprise. With only 30 ships under the command of First Captain Sigismund, the Loyalists faced a daunting task against the overwhelming Alpha Legion fleet, especially with the unexpected attack by fire ships hidden among the enemy ranks. The captured fortress moon of Kerberos unleashed devastating firepower on the nearby moons of Charon, Nyx and Styx, but the Imperial Fists held their ground despite the odds. In a dramatic turn of events, Rogal Dorn confronted Alfarius during the Battle of Pluto. Meanwhile, Archimus, master of the Huskarls, uncovered the Alpha Legion's true intentions to sabotage the Imperial Astropathic Monitor network, centered on Hydra. During the ensuing conflict, Archimus led a daring assault on the Alpha Legion's force, resulting in the death of the Huskarls and Archimus being mortally wounded. As the battle seemed to tip in the favour of the traitor forces, the Imperial Fists received a miraculous boost when their mobile star fortress Phalanx, led by Rogal Dorn, arrived with a massive fleet in tow. Additionally, reinforcements from the Armada Imperialis swiftly pacified the captured guns on Kerberos. Rogal Dorn and his Huskarls teleported into the locked astropathic chamber on Terra. Teleported into the locked astropathic chamber on Hydra, engaging Alfarius and his elite Lernaean Terminators in a fierce battle for control. Archimus, despite being mortally wounded, attempted to intervene when Alfarius had Dorn at his mercy, but was ultimately unable to alter the outcome. Dorn had foreseen the attack, moved in to shield Alfarius, then disarmed him by cutting off his hands with his chainsword after pinning him in place. After slashing his brother's chest and impaling him with his own spear, Dorn finally dealt a fatal blow to the top of Alfarius' skull with his chainsword. Following the death of their Primarch, the Alpha Legion fleet retreated from Pluto. Upon his twin Primarch's demise, Omegon felt a sense of detachment. Soon after, he learnt that the War Master wanted to speak with Alfarius to get an update on the Alpha Legion's attack on the Sol system. As he had done in the past, Omegon immediately adopted his brother's name and permanently became the sole Primarch of the 20th Legion. After being charged with further strengthening the defences of the Imperial Palace against the impending assault of the traitor Marines, Dorn took on the task himself. He oversaw the construction of formidable bastions armed with millions of artillery cannons and reinforced the towers and walls of the palace with steel plating. Despite the necessity of these actions, he couldn't shake the feeling that he was compromising the perfection and beauty of the existing structure, and he deeply regretted it. Additionally, elements of his legion were tasked with securing vital weapons, thousands of suits of the new Mark IV power armor, and munitions from the Loyalist Mechanicum on Mars, even as the planet fell to the chaos-tainted Dark Mechanicum allied with Horus. This crucial mission resulted in heavy casualties for the Imperial Fist Space Marine Force under Captain Camber Diaz, but the acquired resources would later play a vital role in the defense of the Imperial Palace during the Siege of Terra. During the siege itself, Dorn's forces, along with the Blood Angels Legion, manned the defences of the Imperial Palace. When Horus dropped the shielding of his flagship, Dorn and his most trusted veterans, equipped with the few remaining suits of Terminator armour, teleported directly into battle alongside the Emperor, the Legio Custodes, and Sanguinius against Horus's forces on the Chaos-twisted vessel. In a tragic turn of events, Dorn and his chosen Astartes found themselves landing farthest from Horus due to the chaos-infused teleportation. This resulted in the unfortunate division of the Imperial forces. The Imperial forces had to engage in a grueling battle as they fought their way across the enormous lengths of the battleship in order to reach the bridge. Regrettably, this delayed their arrival, causing them to miss the crucial battle with Horus himself. Dorn was the one who discovered the bodies of the Emperor, Sanguinius, and Horus on the vessel's bridge after their monumental clash. He was entrusted with the final commands of the fatally injured Emperor on how to rebuild the Imperium. Additionally, Dorn personally carried his father's shattered body to the resting place in the Golden Throne of the Imperial Palace, where the Emperor would remain in a state between life and death for the next 10 millennia. His final fate. Upon the interment of the Emperor on the Golden Throne, Dorn was overwhelmed with grief. He personally held himself responsible for the Emperor's near demise and embarked on a penitent crusade across the Imperium with his legion. His return to Terra was prompted by Roboute Guilliman's announcement of the adoption of the Codex Astartes, which reorganized the large Space Marine legions into much smaller, 1,000-warrior Space Marine chapters. Initially, Dorn was furious, feeling unjustly blamed by the Imperium for the downfall of the Brother Primarchs. However, he eventually realized the potential harm that another internal conflict could bring to the fragile peace of the Imperium, leading to him reluctantly agreeing to the second founding. This was a dark period for Rogal Dorn, as he grappled with feelings of failure towards the Emperor and the faltering of his legion without the guidance of the Master of Mankind. Shaken to the core, Dorn was disturbed by the Imperium's lack of trust in him and his legion, realizing that following the loss of the Emperor and the disappointment of the Great Crusade, the unity of the Imperial Fist's legion was also under threat. Without a clear focus in battle, the Imperial Fists were uncertain about their future, leaving Dorn despondent for not foreseeing the changing tides of the Imperium while pursuing the traitors. Initially opposing the mandates of the Codex, Dorn, Leman Russ of the Space Wolves, and Vulcan of the Salamanders brought the Imperium to the brink of civil war. The tensions escalated to the point where the Imperial Fist strike cruiser, the Terrible Angel, was targeted by the newborn Navis Imperialis for their alleged heresies against the Imperium's new order. During this time, the Iron Warriors presented Dorn with an unignorable challenge by constructing an immense fortress, daring the Imperial Fist to attack it. The Demon Primarch Perturabo of the Iron Warriors constructed imposing fortifications to taunt the Imperial Fists, leading to a prolonged siege. Despite claims by the Twisted Chaos Space Marines of the Iron Warriors stating that the Imperial Fist suffered a devastating defeat, historical records tell a different story. Even when unprepared and at a disadvantage, the Imperial Fists valiantly defended themselves, with Rogal Dorn's unwavering leadership standing out amidst the chaos. Ultimately, it became apparent that the Iron Warriors lacked the commitment to finish off the Imperial Fists, leading to a pause in the fighting. During this respite, Roboute Guilliman and his Ultramarines intervened, rescuing the Imperial Fists and allowing the Iron Warriors to retreat. Guilliman's decision to prioritize the preservation of Rogal Dorn's life over the annihilation of the Iron Warriors led to the Ultramarines breaking up the conflict and driving off the assailants. Following this, the Imperial Fists withdrew to regroup, allowing their successor chapters to take their place in battle for the next 20 years. Under the guidance of Dorn, the Imperial Fist reorganized, embracing the doctrines of the Codex Astartes. When they returned to the forefront of the Imperium's battlefields, their adherence to the Codex was surpassed only by the Ultramarines themselves. Dorn lived longer than most of the Primarchs, and as each of his brothers died or vanished, he experienced increasingly profound grief. In the 31st millennium, he witnessed many Primarchs being revered as demigods by the people of the Imperium. He voiced his opposition to this, insisting that only the Emperor deserved such devotion, as each of his sons had failed him in some way. It is widely believed that Dorn met his end in the battle against the forces of Chaos in 1781 M31, as he valiantly resisted a large Chaos fleet during the First Black Crusade. This marked the beginning of the devastating incursions into Imperial space by traitor legions from their hellish sanctuary worlds within the Eye of Terror. Commanded by the returned Abaddon the Despoiler, the Chaos fleets outnumbered the Imperial forces by a vast margin. After the supposed death of the 7th Primarch, the skeletal left fist of Dorn is housed in a shrine aboard the Mobile Fortress Monastery, with the bones intricately engraved or scrimshawed with the heraldry of the chapter's previous masters. Only the Imperial Fist chapter master has the authority to engrave his name upon the bones, which bear inscriptions such as Bronwyn Ebermort, Maximus Thane, and Kalman Floddensbog. This Hand of Dorn is considered the Imperial Fist's holiest icon, symbolizing the sacrifice and commitment expected of every Astartes. Throughout the Imperial Fist's history, from the Orc onslaughts of the 32nd millennium to the 13th Black Crusade, they have drawn inspiration from their Primarch's remains and pledged to overcome their adversaries or perish in the process. Whether the Fist truly belongs to Rogal Dorn, or if his remains lie elsewhere, remains a mystery. Despite the apparent death of Rogal Dorn in the First Black Crusade, his true fate remains unclear. During the War of the Beast in the mid-32nd millennium, the resurrected Primarch Vulcan mentioned speaking well of the Imperial Fist's master to Rogal Dorn, suggesting the possibility that his brother Primarch may still be alive. And so I have now covered the content for this video, but if there is anything that has been missed, please share them in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this content, please remember to like the like and subscribe waypoints down below. In the grim dark of the far future, there is only war.